Welcome to our channel United Coaching. Today we will discuss questions in science and technology. Our question is, what is the network of air tubes for gas exchange in insects called? So is it trachea, spiracles or bronchi or tubes? So answer is trachea. Insects and some other invertebrates exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide between their tissues and the air by a system of air-filled tubes called tracheae or trachea, and it is a complex network of tubes called tracheal system that delivers oxygen containing air to every cell of the body, and trachea opens to the outside through small holes called spiracles. Our next question is, in which type of chemical reaction a more reactive metal can replace a less reactive metal? So is it displacement reaction or neutralization or decomposition or redox reaction, which is reduction and oxidation reaction? So answer is displacement reaction. Displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which a more reactive element displaces a less reactive element from its compound. Like for example, when zinc metal is added to lead nitrate solution, the more reactive zinc displaces the less reactive lead from solution and forms zinc nitrate. Our next question is, which chemical is used in refrigerators, air conditioners and aerosol sprays that form air pollutants? So is it sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon or methane? So answer is chlorofluorocarbon. The chlorofluorocarbon, that is CFCs, are commonly known as freon. So freon is not a naturally occurring gas, it is a name given to CFC, and freon or CFC have been used extensively in last couple of decades as a refrigerant in the vapor compression cycle to produce refrigerating and air conditioning effects. Freon or CFC is a colorless gas that is known as R22, and the company DuPont trademarked the name freon, and they are also used in aerosol sprays that form the air pollutants. Our next question is, a thin wire that gives off light from a bulb is called. So is it called terminal or tip or source or filament? So answer is filament. The thin wire that gives off light in a bulb is called a filament, and that filament is made up of tungsten metal. Our next question is, the coil of an electric room heater is called. So is it called filament or foil or element or spring? So answer is element. The coil of an electric room heater is called an element, and in the previous question, don't get confused between the filament and element. The thin wire in a bulb is called filament, and the coil in an electric heater is called element. Our next question is, which among the following is the reproductive part of a plant? So is it the root, stem, flower or fruit? So answer is flower. In angiosperms, the flower is the reproductive unit, and the reproductive part of a flower are the carpels, which is the female reproductive organ, and the stamens, that is the male reproductive organ, and the sterile parts of the flower are sepals and petals. Our next question is, when a disease carrying microbe enters our body, the body produces dash to fight the microbe. So is it antigen, antibodies or antibiotics or anti-allergen? So answer is antibodies. When a disease carrying microbe enters a healthy body, the body produces antibodies to fight them, and these antibodies are also known as immunoglobulins, which are denoted by Ig, and these antibodies are a Y-shaped protein produced mainly by plasma cells that is used by the immune system to neutralize pathogens such as bacteria and viruses, and these antibodies latch on to the antigens in order to be removed from the body by the whole process of immune response and further phagocytosis by immune cells. Our next question is, which of the following is not an example of symbiotic relationship? So is it a cattle egrets and cattle, or a spider on a tree, or tapeworm in a host's stomach, or a hermit crab and an empty seashell? So answer is tapeworm in a host stomach. That is an example of a parasitism. Rest others are an example of a symbiotic relationship, either one way or two way, but tapeworm example is a example of a parasitism. Parasitism is a relationship in which one organism, the host, is the source of the food or the shelter for the another organism, which is the parasite, and in this relationship all of the benefits goes to the parasite. The the host is harmed by this relationship. And the example is a human and a tapeworm living in the intestines, and the tapeworm derives food and the shelter from the human host, and the human is denied of the nutrition that is consumed by the tapeworm. Our next question is, what does the sum total of the populations of the same kind of organisms called? So is it called kingdom or class or phylum or species? So answer is species. The sum total of the population of the same kind of organisms constitute a species, and a species is defined as a group of organisms similar in structure, function, behavior, and which can interbreed among themselves, and the group of the same species inhabiting a specific geographical area at a particular time forms a population. Our next question is, a small piece of thin strip of magnesium burns with the bright what kind of light? So is it a yellow light or red light or blue light or white light? So answer is white light. A small piece of thin strip of magnesium burns with the flash of white light, and when it is completely burnt, it leaves behind a powdery ash. Our next question is, which substance increases the rate of chemical reaction without being consumed? So is it called buffer or indicator or solvent or catalyst? So answer is catalyst. The catalyst refers to a substance that starts or speeds up chemical reaction while undergoing no permanent change itself. With a catalyst, reactions occur faster and with less energy, and the enzymes in saliva are an example of a catalyst in digestion. Our next question is, the only living tissue in plant xylem is? So is it trachea or xylem fiber or xylem parenchyma or tracheids? So answer is xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma is the only living component found in xylem tissue, and they are the living cells associated with the xylem that are found in between the vessels and the fibers, and they act as storage house of starch and fat, with assisting in conduction of water. Our next question is, how are electromagnetic waves distinguished from mechanical waves? So answer is, the distinction is based on the fact that electromagnetic waves are able to travel through a vacuum, which is a region void of any matter, and the mechanical waves require a medium in order to propagate from one location to another. Our next question is, which region of the electromagnetic spectrum has the highest frequency? So answer is the gamma radiation. As you can see in the picture, the gamma radiation region has the highest frequency, and they are similar to X-rays, but they are distinguished only by the fact that they are emitted from an excited nucleus, and gamma photons are the most energetic photons in the electromagnetic spectrum. Our next question is, which region of the electromagnetic spectrum has the longest wavelength? So answer is the radio wave. As you can see in the adjoining picture, the radio wave region has the longest wavelength, and the range of the length varies from a very big size, like from the size of a tall building to as small as the size of a coin. So the radio waves have the longest wavelength. Our next question is, which region of the electromagnetic spectrum will travel with the fastest speed? So that means which region has the fastest speed? So the answer is, all regions have the same speed. The speed of a wave is not dependent upon its frequency and wavelength, but rather upon the properties of the medium through which it travels. So in all the regions have the same speed. Our next question is, which type of wave is produced in a guitar wire? So is it a longitudinal wave or transverse waves or surface wave or static wave? So answer is transverse wave. The waves produced in a stretched string, that is like in a guitar or sitar or violin, are transverse waves. In transverse waves, the particles of the medium vibrate at the right angle to the direction of the propagation of the wave. Our next question is, what color does a red shirt appears when the room lights are turned off and the room is entirely dark? So does it appear red color or some other color? So answer is, it appears black. When the room lights are turned off, that means there is no light, so any object present in the room will appear black, and the color appearance of any object depends upon the light which the object reflects to the observer's eye. Without any incident light, there cannot be any reflected light, so such an object will appear black. That is, in absence of light, any object will appear black. Our next question is microorganisms produce dash by acting upon the dead plants. So is it wood or humus or mushrooms or sand? So answer is humus. Microorganisms help in degradation of dead plants and animals and convert them into organic non-living matter called humus. Our next question is mushrooms eat dash. So is it rice or wax or humus or wheat? So answer is humus. Mushrooms contain no chlorophyll and are considered saprophytes. That is, they obtain their nutrition from metabolizing a non-living organic matter. And humus is the organic component of soil that is formed by the decomposition of leaves and other plant materials or dead animals by soil microorganisms. So mushrooms feed on humus. Our next question is, one tree species in Mauritius failed to reproduce because of the extinction of a fruit eating bird. So the bird was it condor or dodo or dove or skua? So answer is dodo, and the name of the tree was cock. And the dodo and the cock represented an obligation animal plant mutualism in which the cock seeds had to pass through the dodo's digestive system before they could germinate. And the cock fruits have a thick hard endocarp or the inner fruit wall, and the scientist who discovered this animal plant mutualism assumed that the endocarp would mechanically prevent germination unless it is worn down or degraded by the dodo's digestive system. So that means the endocarp layer had to be removed by the dodo's digestive system. And in 1970s there was a concern that the Tamblecock tree was on the brink of extinction. So at that time there were only 13 specimens left, and they failed to reproduce because the dodo bird was extinct, and as this seeds could not pass through the digestive system and they could not lose the endocarp, so they failed to germinate. Our next question is, the cricket bats are made from which wood? So is it from sal or rosewood or teak or willow? So answer is willow. The wood of the willow tree is soft but very durable and reacts remarkably well on impact, and it is very resistant to splitting and tearing. Our next question is, what can be said about the competition for light, nutrition and space between closely related organisms growing in the same area? So does the competition does not exist, or it rarely exists, or it is most severe, or it is moderate? So answer is, it is most severe. The competition is most severe. Whenever two areas or niches overlap, competition ensues between the organisms, and the individuals of the same species compete for the exact same things in the environment. Therefore the competition is of the strongest type. Our next question is, what is the shape of the most ancient galaxy named A1689b11? So this is the shape spherical or elliptical or irregular or zigzag? So answer is spiral. The A1689b11 galaxy is an extremely old spiral galaxy located in the Abell 1689 galaxy cluster in the Virgo constellation, and this galaxy is 11 billion light years away from the Earth, and it is in spiral shape. Our next question is, researchers from University of British Columbia in Canada have developed dash fiber reinforced concrete. So is it a fireproof or earthquake proof or flood proof or snow resistant? So answer is earthquake proof fiber reinforced concrete. The researchers from University of British Columbia in Canada have developed earthquake proof fiber reinforced concrete that can dramatically enhance the earthquake resistance of seismically vulnerable structures, and the name of that concrete is EDCC, which is the short for eco-friendly ductile cementitious composite, and the material does not fracture but bends and takes all the stress under pressure, and it is designed to be sprayed onto existing masonry construction to form a seismically protective layer, and the cement material is engineered at molecular level to be strong, malleable and ductile similar to steel.